And here we are, spawning in the bottom right of Acid Plant LE. In the blue, he is, well, you may know him as the King in the North, the greatest foreigner to ever live. He is SERRAL. And his opponent spawning up here in the upper left, in the red, returning from military rather soon indeed now. He is, of course, the Chintoss himself. Give it up for Classic. So, of course, IEM Katowice back in 2018 at the start of the year. I believe this was what? This was when SERRAL was killing it. So he won the World Championship 2018 in August, in like October. So this is before that. This is in SERRAL's reign of just absurd dominance, where he won almost. No, I'm sorry. This was after SERRAL won the World Championship, I do believe. So here we have SERRAL. He comes into this tournament with a bunch of hype, right? As one would expect. He goes, well, he has been this great player, right? He has won the World Championship. He has won literally everything, every tournament that he has entered. And up until this far in Katowice, in the IEM Circuit World Championship, well, it seems like everything is going as one would expect. But of course, in his way, his opponent is none other than the illustrious Classic, the Chintoss. The player that really led the Protoss, the Protoss zeitgeist for a number of years, up until, of course, the time where he decided that he was going to go, before he had to go to the military. I'm not sure that was exactly a decision that he went for. So yes, sorry, this was 8 months before the WCS Global Championship here. It was SERRAL that did end up winning that. Of course, that is history. That is something that we are all aware of. But we're not there yet. SERRAL, he's still showing this dominance. He's still showing this new form, but it's not the insane SERRAL that has, well, it is, we're just starting to see the SERRAL that has won literally everything. And there's a lot of hype, of course, going into this matchup. Is there finally a foreigner that can really do this? I mean, yeah, we've seen him dominate the international circuit, but we haven't seen him do that to Koreans just yet. And of course, to get here, he already had to show some masterful ZVP. He had to go beat Trap 3-2, and of course, Trap always up there. Of course, Classic on the other side of things, though. He hasn't had to show a lot. He had to go, and he had to beat Impact to get on in. That was the only PVC that he had to play. Then he 3-1 Deer. Of course, this was in the time where Deer was looking really good as well. I believe Deer is in military now. So, SERRAL versus Classic. The winner of this goes on to face Rogue in the finals. Or Maru, the winner of Maru versus Rogue, which Rogue does end up winning. So that is the state of the game right here, right now. And well, should surprise no one here. We got a Marjorie coming on in, or not, actually not a Marjorie. I guess Marjorie has an Immortals. We just got a 8-gate charge lot all in, coming on in game number 1 here. And SERRAL, well, I don't know whether he's had vision of the main base. I mean, he's got this really cool cordon of Zerglings out in the natural, but he has not seen into the main base. And that does mean that, well, okay, he's aware that there's no third base. Well, this is not all that weird. You know, you get a 430 third base in this meta. And I don't believe he's been able to get on top of all the gas in the natural. He does see that there is one gas that has been taken that is mining, so he's going to say, oh yeah, Classic, yeah, you're going for a normal build. It's fine. You're going to take your third base soon. But that gas, Classic doesn't want the gas. It's just what he needs to make sure that he can convince SERRAL that he's not all-inning. But there we go. Now this is going to be visible. A bunch of charge lots are done, right? Zealots are warping on in, and SERRAL, he doesn't have a Roach Warren. He has bought this idea that this is a macro build from Classic, hook, line, and sinker, so he's going to have to build a bunch of spines. He got one on the way. Zergling's on the way as well. But these are a bunch of charge lots. And I believe this was in the era where the charge dealt impact damage as well. So SERRAL is not going to be happy with this. I mean, yeah, maybe eventually he's going to try to get some Hydras up or something, but Zealots against Hydroling are not, excuse me, Hydroling is not good against Zealots at all. So Zealots are going to look to run on and get on top of these drones. SERRAL realized that he has no chance at holding 3 positions here. He's going to maybe have to hold 2, but even that is going to be difficult indeed as the Zealots get a fantastic position here in the mineral line in both the main and the natural. And SERRAL, he is being broken here in this game number 1. He has tried, but there we go. More weapons that kind of come on in. We're going to see 4 probably run on into the natural. 4 get dropped on into the main base here. 11 workers have died. The Zealots, they're still going strong. Yes, we have Queens. Yes, they can do transfuses, but they're going to run out of energy eventually. And maybe these Hydras are going to be enough. Hydras do a ton of DPS, but it will not matter here as SERRAL is rapidly falling down. A bunch of Zealots here knocking down the third. They don't even have to knock down the third base. They just have to prevent it from mining. There we have a GG Classic. He takes game 1. We do have Classic here going for a little bit of a Stargate build in game number 2 against SERRAL. But of course, where is that Stargate? Okay, there we go. Yeah, right behind the mineral line. This is most likely, of course, going to be an Oracle coming on, and we're not in the era of Void Ray. That only happens mid 2020 once the Void Rays, or early 2020 once the Void Rays get buffed. And really, what is the final balance patch that we've had in StarCraft thus far? Who knows if we're going to get another one with how much Blizzard has sunset the game. But anyways, yes, Oracle is now on the way. SERRAL, of course, he does have his third base. Right, and he's actually building a decent amount of Zerglings right now. He's going on up to like 14, 16, A to make sure that he doesn't have to deal with any bit of early pressure, but also, oh no, I'm sorry, this is a lot more. Yeah, he's going to go for a Ling Flood here, and this is interesting because this is something that we've seen SERRAL attempt to do. Well, we saw players attempt to do as a response to this Stargate opener. It seems to work really well up to a point, right? Because, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, this was in the. It's a really interesting rediscovering balance changes. This was in the era where you could do Ling drops, where you could do Overlord drops without a lair. So we're now going to see Zerglings dropping on into the main base, and this will get scouted and eventually will get cleaned on up. Oh man, look at that. He's messed up the aggro, or messed up the micro here. So SERRAL is not going to get all of his Zerglings in the main base that he wants. But look at this. So he's immediately going to target down the pylon. He says, okay, look, I don't want you to have any more air defense. I mean, that is where you've committed your tech here. So I'm going to delay that as much as I can. Void Ray is not going to be able to do anything. And now Zerglings are going to come on into the main base. There are shield batteries on the way, but it's only 1 right now. And is it going to be enough here? Second shield battery pops on up, which means there's no way this is getting broken. Even with the Zerglings running on in, it's all going to be about the damage that SERRAL can do with his drops, which, in all honesty, it's starting to get on. It has a chance. 6, 8 workers are going to go on down, maybe even more here. But no, the pylon will not go down. SERRAL, he's going to try, but with the adepts here, there is no opportunity for that. Especially not with the shield. Honestly, the shield battery could just start healing that gateway as well. Classic knows that he has held this. And SERRAL is going to have to find another way. More and more Zerglings are on the way. Of course, SERRAL understands that he is all in. He has to make this work. But it looks like he's not going to be able to. I mean, yes, there are a lot of Zerglings, but with the 3 shield batteries here, with the Oracles and the Void Rays and everything else, I mean, they're not going to break this wall down. Classic, in fact, is just adding an additional layer of that just because, you know, why not? And SERRAL doesn't really have that much of a transition yet. Yes, he is building more workers, but he's been at like 21 actually is the number on that. He's been at 21 workers for the majority of this game. Yes, he's building spores just to make sure that he does not die to the Oracles and the Void Rays. But even if Classic gets no damage, even if Classic says that, yeah, I'm just going to sit here, I'm just going to knock down your Overlords because why not? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter all that much. And I say is if Classic doesn't get any damage, and what I mean by that is even if Classic doesn't get damage done by his Sky units, by his Oracles, by his Void Rays, because he is absolutely gearing up for an attack here. He's got he's going up to, actually I guess he's only going up to 4 gates. Never mind. But yeah, 4 gate Robo is going to be things. Charges on the way. Templar Archives as well. So we're going to see Charizard Immortal Archon here, and this is at the trailing edge of Phoenix into Charizard Immortal Archon. The Pika style that was so present really at the start of Legacy of the Void back like 2015, 2016. Yeah, I guess more like 2016, 2017. So we're kind of at the trailing end of that, where you saw that was the build, right? You open Phoenix, you get dominance that way, and then you go into Charizard Immortal Archon, and that allows you to deal with lurkers before they were changed, and we're just not quite as dominant as they were, and required, of course, you know, Hive to be somewhat useful. To place people in the ideas of other metas, this is still the time when Roach Ravager Bane, Hydroling Bane, specifically Hydroling Bane, was still very powerful. SERRAL's a big fan of that style. Because you didn't see the quite amount of buffs and nerfs that we saw. Because of course you don't play that now because Protoss players have figured out how to get into Storm fast enough, and Storm has been buffed enough, and Baneling health has been nerfed enough, and the damage they do as well to non-light units. It means that the Banelings just don't. There's no way that they're ever going to trade cost efficiently against what the Protoss has to bear by the time you are at about 160 supply of Hydroling Bane. Because of course they do less damage to Archons, and then the Storm kills them faster. And those two things together really mean Hydroling Bane is just not a thing anymore. Not in 2021 at the very least. So now we're going to see an Archon drop coming on in here, as this is just a distraction force of things on the other side of the map. The Archons, they're going to stay there. And now we have a bunch of charge lots warping on in. So the Queen's going to get assassinated. And, well, Banelings are going to try to morph, and they will be successful, but the Archons can just hold the ramp. And I'm not exactly sure what SERRAL is supposed to do about this. These are like much more powerful force fields. But there we go. Okay, so they will eat a couple Banelings, continue to get the slash damage in here. All the Banelings will go on down. Now the Queens are trying to fight this, but the Queens are taking a decent amount of splash damage, and now we're going to have the Void Rays, the Phoenix, the Oracles. They're going to run on in. It looks like both Oracles are going to go on down, or at the very least one of them will. And yes, these Zealots in the main base will die, but damage has been done, and now it's Classic's turn to maybe rotate on into the natural with this big warp in. I mean, he does have a third base, so this is not like he has to go all in. It's not like he has to kill here, but there we go. Two Queens are going to go on down. One Archon dies in exchange. Actually, only one Queen will die. The Zealots are not going to get anything done as well because, well, there's a Spine here, and Spines mean that the Zealots, they only have to get surrounded. Of course, there's also the fact that +1 is done for the Zerg, +1 is not yet done for the Protoss player, so the Zerglings will trade a lot better than they otherwise might. So that being said, Classic, he's going to have to take a step back for the moment here. Maybe get Storm, maybe get a couple more Immortals, build up a stronger fighting army rather than just an aggressive army. And this buys SERRAL time to get on up to maybe 65 workers. He has his Hydra Den done now. +2 melee is on the way. Maybe he's going to be able to build an army that can actually fight. That being said, though, oh, nice surround there, but it's not going to matter because there's a Warp Prism here. And that being said, Classic, he's up in supply. Gets to Zerg 9 minutes into this game, and SERRAL has just lost so much more. Well, actually, it's only 1,500. I kind of expected it to be worse. But 106 Zerglings, you know, it's not exactly a great situation. So, oh, there's a full wall. Yeah, okay, there we go. That gateway is going to have to get killed. As there's a full wall, which means the probes from the main base and the natural cannot, in fact, go reinforce the third, which is rather sad. But no, Classic has that one figured out now, so he will be able to do that. And the damage, the like one damage that High Templars do, are going to slowly knock that one down. But there we go. Okay, so Storm is done in 10 seconds, and this is most likely going to be Classic's timing. Why couldn't the probes get to the third? I don't know. But anyways, here we are. We are just about 10 minutes into this game. Classic, he's up 34 odd supply right now on his opponent. He has Storm. His +2 is on the way. It's not done yet. And he's getting, yeah, there we go. He's going to go push out just now. SERRAL understands the type of situation he's just like, look, I didn't get him a lot of damage done with my all-in. My link drop didn't work. But I have to get something. So it looks like he is setting up for Baneling drops on the right, on the bottom and top hand side of the map here. Again, this is still a powerful tactic, but back then it was even more so. But he's not going to be given the time here. Baneling's speed is not yet done. The Archon's now at the front here, and the Storm is done as well. So yeah, we're going to see Baneling drops, and maybe that's going to be something. But the Archons are just going to sit here. They're going to soak all these Banelings. It's going to be one missed Storm, but the rest of the Storms are going to be a whole lot better here as they come rolling on in on top of the Hydras, on top of the Queens, on top of everything. Even a couple of Depths, because why not? All of the Queens are going to lose their transfusions. GG Classic. He's going to take game number 2 now and put himself one game away from the grand finals. And once again, here we are, game 3, and it is match point already. Classic. He's looked damn good in the first couple games. We're going to have to see whether SERRAL can come back. But before that, we should probably introduce our players, where they are on the map. And in the bottom left, you're looking at the main base of the Blue Zerg from ENCE Esports. Is back against the wall here in his first major international tournament since showing his dominance. In the bottom left in the blue, he is, for ENCE Esports, SERRAL. And his opponent in the upper right in the red, at times the greatest player in the world, soon to be back from the military. Teamless at this point. He is Classic. So game one, we saw Classic go for an expertly hidden 2-base all-in. He showed SERRAL that he was mining off of 4 gas, but in fact he was really only mining off 1, and only long enough to make the idea, to present this idea that he was in fact mining off of those 4 gas. Game 2, SERRAL went for a link flood idea. It did not work out. Not work out whatsoever. Classic held it extremely well. He was able to scout what was happening and react accordingly, and after that point it was a game of SERRAL trying to play catch up, and Classic just not really letting him. Now here we are in game number 3, and SERRAL's gone for your standard opener, 16, 18, 17 hatch gas pool. Classic's doing similar stuff too, you know. It's going to be it's a Cybercore expand, and or sorry, a gate expand, and from there, well, we're gonna have to see exactly what iterations, how Classic opts to play, because for the moment, well, we don't really have a good idea. Now, okay, we do have a chrono there on the adept. What we're really going to look to see here is how Classic opts to spend his gas, right? If we hit that 230 mark, and we don't have Warp Gate on the way, but there we go. Warp Gate, it's here now. Classic took a little bit delayed gas, so it was closer to 230 than it was to 220. But at the end of the day, it is, well, I'm sorry, it was Stargate into Warp Gate, as I cannot read the production tab. So it will be a Stargate opener here on Eastwatch. Of course, Eastwatch, it's a truly massive map. Is it's like 10 bases aside, right? It is a absolutely massive map here. It does have the greatest opportunity for us to maybe get to experience something that is a bit more of a macro game. I mean, game 1 was an all-in from Classic. Game 2 was an all-in from SERRAL. Game 3, maybe neither player all-in. Maybe they do a macro all-in where they say, I'm all-inning by playing a macro game. Because maybe that's going to be a thing. We'll see. Because of course, Oracle is now underway here from Classic. There's a certain arithmetic to this, right? You get 1 Oracle, you say, I don't really care how much damage gets done. It's vision, it's map control, whatever. You get 2 Oracles, you're like, I want to get something done. That is important to me, is they deft will shade on in, knock down 1 worker, and force a morph on another. So that's 75 resources worth. But there we go. Okay, so Oracle into Phoenix here. Really the question is whether Classic opts to actually commit to the Phoenix style like he didn't in game number 1 or game number 2, but I don't know whether that was because he didn't want to. I mean, he was forced into kind of a void ray, something that could shoot the ground a little bit better. Or whether this is just, you know, the Oracle to get map control, to maybe kill some workers, and then into a Phoenix just to sweep the overlords from the map. Which is, of course, common at the time as a follow-up from the Stargate. We now kind of see void rays do both of those roles. There we go. Yeah, it will just be 1 Oracle, 1 Phoenix here. As looks like another worker did go down. And now behind this, well, it's going to be a Robo, it's going to be Twilight. And, well, we do have 4 gas. So Classic is going to expand off of this. He is going to play a little bit longer of a game. And realistically, that makes sense. This is a massive map. It really, truly is a massive map. So seeing exactly, it doesn't make a lot of sense for Classic. Just, you know, drop 8 gateways, sit on 0 gas, hit with charge offs. I mean, yeah, you kind of, with Warpins, you do kind of remove Defender's advantage just a little bit, but you still have to run across the map with your initial army. You still do have to do things like that. So we may see a little bit of pressure as there's a Warp Prism underway. We probably see some Adept drops, something like that, but that should be just about it. So there we go. So we see the Phoenix Oracle technique where you go on in, you lift the Queen, the Oracle's able to maybe get a little bit more damage done because the Spore can only shoot 1 thing and just doesn't do enough quite fast enough. Doesn't do enough DPS quite fast enough. But here we are. So 3rd base on the way here. Charizard Archon will be the name of the game for Classic. It's really how he's been opting to play this series. Granted, game 1 he didn't get any Archons. He didn't need to. It was an all-in. It was Charizard all-in. But game 2, those Archons soaked so much damage for him. Did such a good job for him. And it makes sense. I mean, this was the meta. This was the style that people were playing. You didn't see Disruptor Tech nearly as much. Colossus was extremely rare. And yeah, Charizard Immortal Archon into Storm is the name of the game. And SERRAL for this part, he's like, okay, look, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not gonna let you fool me twice here. So there are roaches on the way. He has +1 ranged on the way, roach speed as well. he is going to have a much beefier army. He will be able to deal with these Archon drops coming on in, which, by the way, this is a really weird timing for the Archon drops. Traditionally, you know, they're off of DTs. You warp in 3 DTs, you see if you can get something done. When you find out you can't, you start dropping around 4:30. This is a 5:30, 5:45, 6-minute Archon drop, and it is, of course, off of High Templars. It is off of 3 bases, so it's not that weird, but it is a bit of a different timing from what was standard, from what was meta at the time period. Now we have more and more gateways underway as Classic is like, yeah, I actually have I have 3 bases, I can support that. So more and more gateways on the way, Immortals as well, and I like this. Of course, this was before spores were light, so it takes a little bit longer to kill them off than it used to, or than it does now. But I love the just little observer +2 Archon little drop play here, where you go on and you just remove Zerg vision from the map. It really is the goal here, getting overlords, knocking down creep tumors, all that fun stuff. Just makes it that much harder for SERRAL really to know what's happening, to react appropriately, because one thing SERRAL has always been known for, yes, he's got good mechanics, don't get me wrong, yes, he's got good builds, but what he's really been known for is his understanding of the game, his star sense, his ability to read the game and figure out exactly what's happening. So if you're able to deny that, if you're able to sit there and say, no, you don't get creep spread, SERRAL, you don't get your evil creep spread, you don't get map vision, you don't get your overlords anywhere, I'm gonna knock down your Zerglings before they ever get to my bases. You have that some scouting, but it's not nearly as much as it would otherwise be. So Classic here, is that destructible rocks? It is. So yeah, Classic's just gonna lock that door down. Says, okay, look, you don't get to get in that way, you don't get scouting that way. And now, well, it's time for Classic to move out on the map here. Storm is done. No, +1 is done as well. And this is right before SERRAL is going to get on into Lurker Tech. Now, Phoenix into Charizard Archon, before you get before you get Hive, excuse me, before you get like +2, before you get Groove Spines, before you get Burrow Speed, which I don't believe these upgrades existed back in 2018. Charizard Archon Immortal Storm is actually rather good against Lurkers. If there's 20, I mean, sure, but in general, because the Zealots get on top of them, they die pretty quickly, and there's just enough bulk in that army that you can actually get something done. It looks like Classic's not even interested in allowing SERRAL that timing. He's going to move on in there right as Lurkers are underway, and at the very least hope to knock down this the gold base here. There we go. He will find a little bit of army. Now, there are no force fields, so that makes it a little bit difficult as he tries to figure out how he wants to take this fight. But there we go. Zealots will get on top of the workers, and it's just going to be Zealots, Archons, Immortals. Well, the Lurkers, they just don't have range. And there we go. The destructible rocks are going to knock down one Storm. It's just going to kill every single worker. This base is dead too, but it doesn't even matter anymore, as a couple Zealots will be left behind to clean all that one up. In Classic, he is already retreating because he understands that there's going to be a counterattack here, and he needs to be in a position for it. Now, that Stasis Trap will not be quite in position, so that's a bit unfortunate. This one Zealot's trying to defend what it can, and the probes will start to go on down. Roaches find their way on into the main base, or excuse me, into the natural as well. But my gut says that Classic got a lot more damage than SERRAL is going to be allowed to achieve. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was 21 workers and a base versus 9 workers. Absolutely there. Classic is pretty happy about how things have just gone. And now it is it's a 4-base Zerg, but it was a 5-base Zerg. And it's a 4-base Zerg that does not have gold minerals against a 3-base Protoss. Everything is okay there for Classic. He's got his +2 just about done. Okay, and it looks like Burrow Speed and range were a thing back in 2018. So these Lurkers are about to get a whole lot scarier. They don't have range yet, but they will have Burrow Speed rather soon, and that will give them the opportunity to reposition around Storms, which is the big thing. They're not just going to soak the full, I want to say it's 75 damage. Now SERRAL, he's locked down on 4 bases. He has Lurkers outside of his 4th base. He's totally fine there. And now he says, look, I got this useless supply. I got all these roaches that they're just not going to be useful for the rest of this game. Realistically, they're a bunch of Immortals, Archons. Roaches, they just don't scale well at all. So I'm going to move them out. I'm going to try to see if I can get some harassment done. If I can really start to stress Classic here. But Classic doesn't look stressed. Really doesn't look stressed at all. Is one more for a couple Archons to deal with these couple of roaches that have been Stacies. And hey, you know what? SERRAL could get a couple catch on these High Templar. That's going to be nice. One High Templar goes down, second High Templar goes down. Minus, what is that? 250 gas. 150 gas. Anyway, minus a lot of gas here. As the Roaches continue to try to find some damage. The Roaches on the right-hand side. Actually, they may get something done here with this Lurker that's burrowing on up with him as well. That's not going to be the easiest thing to break. Even with these Immortals and with this cannon here. The Immortals, yeah, they're firing strong. Yeah, there's actually not a shield battery. So, well, maybe not. But now Classic is going to find this opening, and he holds the choke and he storms on top of all of these Lurkers. Everything's running on forward. The detection is there. And yeah, SERRAL, his army's not strong enough just yet. The Lurkers were not powerful enough to be able to stop this. Well, actually, once it's going to get lifted anyways. The Lurkers are going to be reburrowed once again, but it does not matter. The vision is there. SERRAL cannot target it down. The Lurkers, there's nothing to buffer for them. There's nothing to defend them. So yes, there are a bunch of zealots. They will find these Hydras on the backhand side. SERRAL would love to have those. He will not have them here. And Classic now, he's coming crunching on in. SERRAL's lost 2 bases. He's back down to 3, and all of a sudden, I mean, there's the Swarm Host on the way. That's just a mistake. SERRAL, he doesn't have what he needs. He's down here about 8 supply, but the supply that he has, it's a lot of Roaches. Yes, Hydras do a lot of DPS, but it's a lot of Roaches. It's a lot of Hydras. That's not the tech level of army that SERRAL is looking for here. And Classic, with his Warp Prison pickup ability, is just going to win this fight. There are so many Immortals there. There's nothing that SERRAL can do. And GG Classic, just like that, a clean 3-0 for the Chintosh. He's going to move on to the finals, where he will face Rogue.